Welcome to this week's episode of Listen to Your Welcome to this week's episode of Listen to Your Coaches. I'm your coach, Mike Wilkins, here with Coach Will Morrow. And behind the scenes, we've got a young Max Gerald on the producer desk. This week, we're going to talk some UFC Iowa, some Fight to Win Pittsburgh, and then what's to come in the future weeks. Coach Will, have you calmed down and are you ready to go?
Did not quite. For those of you who don't know, Mike always makes me laugh. It was super hard before he starts it. Oh, I think I got it together though. All right, I'm prepared.
This was a tough one. We were all struggling. Even Max. Even Max was struggling on this one.
Oh man, one day we'll have some great bloopers come out. Yeah. All right, let's get to it. UFC Iowa. All right, so we have so many fights to talk about, right?
Yeah. But we don't even want to talk about two of them.
Yeah, we only care to talk about two fights. The co-main and the main event. We're going to start with the co-main.
All right, we're going to start with Rene the Ritter versus Bo Nickal.
Oh, dude, I was hoping you were going to go Gru.
Rene the Ritter. Yeah, Rene the Ritter versus Bo Nickal. Whew. Boy, do I got some thoughts on it, and I think they might be different than a lot of people's takes on it. So dude, I'm interested.
I've got a bunch of thoughts myself.
Well, let's run them. Go ahead.
All right. So I would say the overall thoughts, and I've got I've got a lot of notes on this, but I would say that the overall thing is that I was a little too, I believed in Bo too much, right?
Same.
You can go back a couple months and hear me saying oh, he'll smash Hamza Chimaev right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I had some very unrealistic expectations, right? And I think that's something that you and I tend to do a lot of is we tend to take someone's wrestling experience and apply it to MMA. And does it help? For sure. But is it like a one-to-one transfer? No. And there's just no...
I think there's a really good reason for that. And I think because it was a one-to-one transfer.
Yeah, it used to be.
It was a one-to-one transfer, and what we're seeing, and we're experiencing it with our own athletes, athletes that we're competing against and things like that. Just people coming through. It is no longer what we once thought it to be.
Yes.
And I think a large part of that is a bias from me personally, and me probably projecting that on you because of the level of wrestling that I achieved and stuff. I looked at these D1 guys. I was like, whoa, dude, I don't know. I remember I was a purple belt, and Oklahoma State was in town wrestling back to back against West Virginia and Pitt, and they were using our wrestling room. And I think you asked me, you're like, oh yeah, you think any of these guys could go with you? And I was like, yeah, they'd probably beat me, right? Talking about in a jiu-jitsu match, and then I rolled around with none of those guys, but some actually better higher level people than them, and I was submitting them, and I was I overvalued, or I just overestimated how the wrestling would affect against my jiu-jitsu at that point, because they were so much better wrestlers than me, and I had such a strong I identified as a wrestler so much that I kind of let it cloud my vision, and I think I projected that onto a lot of people.
Well, I mean, I also felt that way independently. Obviously, and this still stands, wrestling is the most important base in my opinion for MMA, but just because it's a good base doesn't mean it's a complete fighter,
Yeah.
And also kind of along what you were talking about, I remember one time I was rolling with, and I'm not that good at jiu-jitsu, but I was rolling with a guy who was significantly bigger, significantly more athletic, and a D1 wrestler that we used to train, and I submitted him 4 or 5 times in a 5-minute round, and I remember going up to him and being like, dude, I can't believe that happened. And you're like, yeah, jiu-jitsu works. And I was like, oh yeah, it does, unless I'm slapping a darce on you, and then it doesn't work. But
it depends. But yeah, and I think that's it. And I think it's just, honestly, it's just the evolution of MMA as a sport in itself, and it's truly what it is. It's the mixing of the martial arts now, not one martial art versus another martial art.
Right, exactly. So this is kind of along these lines. This is something I have in my notes that I want to talk about, but something that I've talked about a lot is how clinching, Thai style clinching, or Dutch style in this case, whatever, but stand up style clinching, or striking style clinching, I should say, not just stand up. I always talk about how that's or not used to, I still do talk about how that's a low hanging fruit in MMA, because a lot of people just train wrestling,
yes.
in the clinch. And we saw like a lot of really interesting things from De Ridder, where he would do things that like I talk about a lot and teach our guys about, like getting various arm positions and then using knees. And we saw Bo bring his arm down to defend those knees to the body. And then De Ridder was throwing punches to the head. I would have preferred elbows, but either way, just showing how like there's different styles of clinching, and this like the striking style is much more damaging, obviously, you know, and so that like it can produce some really serious problems for MMA fighters who aren't like maybe as, you know, aware of what's available there.
Yeah, for sure. I think one thing you're seeing in the clinch too is like, especially in these over/under clinches, which, you know, was predominantly at play here, obviously with different type of hand positioning, but like. Is that in wrestling we tend to remove our hips a little bit, which creates some separation for us to change our head position, to pummel for the secondary underhook, or to change the direction of our hips for whatever trips and throws we might be looking to go for. And if your hips create that space, as you would say, you know, there's room for those knees to come up. So, you know, again, like we're just seeing like the mixing of the martial arts. In that sense, like we see it on the ground all the time when punches are introduced and stuff, like things need adjusted. Like some things got to give a little bit, and when you're specializing in one, like if you take away the knees, well then the hips back doesn't matter and offers a lot of positives
for sure. And I mean, we saw that too. Like there was zero chance that De Ridder was going to take down Bo, right? Yeah. And like he hit those nice what do you call those throws with the overhook,
like Uchimado's was
exactly kicks. Yes, precisely. And like that wasn't working, right? And like that won't work on Bo, but the position he was in order to prevent that allowed for those knees, you know. So
I think also, so first off, I did come into this fight with some Bo colored glasses on.
Oh, me too.
As well. But I think the take that I'm going to have that may be like a little bit weird in it, and it's like if you take those glasses off, like Bo didn't do that bad,
dude.
You know what I mean?
This is one of my big things that I have to say about this.
Right?
Is like, first off, okay, something I think we should talk about. De Ridder looked huge.
Yeah, so De Ridder looked huge, and like you noticed that, so there was a moment in time where Bo had De Ridder on the cage, so Bo in the offensive position, and he looked a whole person smaller.
Yes.
Right? Like he fit like inside the silhouette. Like you could see all of De Ridder and Bo inside of that silhouette. But there were some really good moments, right? Like Bo's takedown was some really great chain wrestling from a clinch, utilizing a cage. Getting to like being able to pick that ankle, and then one of the times that De Ridder went for one of the Uchimadas, you know, Bo had a nice limp arm and got like rear turtle position. You know, what I think allowed De Ridder to like kind of like dominate in like the entirety of the fight was he had no fear of any position.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Like there was no fear of any position. He was like, oh, okay, if I get taken down, I don't care. So therefore I can go for these things. Right? Therefore I can put that constant forward pressure on when striking because it didn't matter to him where the fight went, right? Like if it stayed on the feet, if it took it to the ground, if he was on top, if he was on bottom, if his back was on the cage, if he was offensively on the cage, if they were anywhere in the clinch, he was completely fine in all those areas. And imagine knowing that, like, or at least thinking, truly thinking and believing that you can't be finished in any area, how free you must be able to fight.
Dude, I'm really glad that you put it in those words, because that immediately made me think of two fighters, right? Two of my favorite fighters of all time. Anderson Silva and Carlos Condit, right? No one's going to be like, oh, those dudes were like the best wrestlers, not even best MMA wrestlers for their time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they were able to put like pressure standing because they didn't care if they were on bottom. You know what I mean? And they're hyper aggressive from all those positions. They scramble well. So yeah, like you get that kind of like confidence from that. Like that's a really good point. I think something else that we should talk about with this fight, I've got a couple big things. Well, first off, one of the things I have written is clinch is back. I've been saying for the past couple months, jiu-jitsu's back. Guess what? Clinch is back.
We're gonna see like a trend in this show. Like you've been talking about the clinch being low-hanging fruit and being underutilized, and it's just only a matter of time before like the utilization of it gets stumbled upon and really exploited, right?
100%.
So we're going to see that theme play out.
We certainly will. So there's that. And then the other thing that I think is important about this, and you kind of touched on it, is like and I think it's going to sound maybe like not controversial or whatever it is because of what a lot of people are saying about Bo, but like I didn't think that was a bad loss, nor do I think he looked that bad. We can talk about like what that means, but like first off, what is a bad loss? Like spit at me. Like what are some things that make a loss really bad?
Okay, a horrific injury comes with it.
Yeah, he not only did he not get a horrific injury, it was the best type of knockout you could get. He went to the body, he went down, fight's over, he stood back up, he's totally fine right now.
Losing a robbery decision.
He did not lose that.
Right, because you didn't get to gain the value of like learning from what went wrong because you actually
won.
Somebody riled up. Losing by disqualification, a la John Jones.
Yeah, that would
dominating Matt Hamill, but yeah, something like that.
Okay,
so, yeah.
Another thing I think, so like you said, the horrific injury. Another thing I think that makes for like a really bad really bad loss is if your place in the rankings and in your shot to the title is like seriously disrupted. So any of the things you just said, but like let's say that you're older and this is your last chance to get there, or like whatever it might be, or you have 30 fights under your belt already and like you really kind of need to keep progressing. But like, dude, he's got what, 7 fights?
That was his 8th fight, yeah.
Or 8th fight, yeah, exactly. So like,
yeah, he had 7 fights that time.
He's so early in his career. It's like, okay, being 7-1, is that a good record? Yeah, that's a great record. Especially when you're 7-0. Isn't he 7-0 in the UFC?
Well, no, because
I
think he had 1 pro fight and then 2 on the Contender Series.
Okay,
if I were to be correct. So 1 before Contender Series, 2 on, and then Jamie Pickett. Cody Brundage.
Yep.
What's his name?
I thought it was
Val Woodburn.
So he didn't fight Cody Brundage though?
I thought he did.
No, it was Val Woodburn and then it was Cody Brundage.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. But and then
you've got the order right. It was 1 pro fight and then Contender
Series. Yeah, 2 Contender Series. Pickett, the Val guy, Cody Brundage, and then the Paul Craig.
Dude, either way, to go 7-0 with 6 finishes, I believe,
and a win over a guy who has wins over former champions by submission,
up a weight class. Yeah, dude, like that's incredible. You know what I mean? And so, did you see what Mike Brown said about the performance? Did you see?
Was it the write-up post? Yeah.
So, like, that's spot on. He's just, because he's Bo Nickal, he's being, shot through the system, I guess we could call it, a little bit faster than most. And eventually you bite off more than you can chew. You know what I mean? And that's okay. You know what I mean? That doesn't mean that he's, like, fraud checked. That doesn't mean he sucks. That doesn't mean that he can't ever get better. With that said, on the other side of things, now that I'm kind of looking at Bo a little bit more objectively, not only do we not see the stand-up that I would like to see out of him, what concerns me is we haven't seen the development of the striking in the way that I would like to see with Bo. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, like, there's a little bit of both to it. It's like, is Bo like trash? No, absolutely not. He's incredible, and he's still relatively young. Like, and especially in his MMA career, he's very young, and like he has time to progress. I don't think this is really that big of a deal for him. With that said, I don't think I'm going to have the Bo color glasses in the way that I used to.
No, I think I'm going to get a little bit more like, so like with that, it's like okay, like they call it like being a homer.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I think I'm going to be able to kind of assess it a little bit more like for what it is rather than what I hope it to be, and like, you know, like let that kind of like cloud the vision. Another thing is like the Ritter is unreal.
Dude, okay, that's good. The other part of this is I don't think people are talking about, dude, the Ritter is better than I think I think we've thought highly of him, but like, I think he's better than at least I thought. You know what I mean? So I think that's pretty.
Who all has he fought? So he subbed Mershart.
Well, dude, check this out. He has 2 losses, I believe.
Yeah, but
you know who they're 2? Malakin, who is that his name? Yeah, who is?
Wait, they're both to the same guy?
Yeah.
So he's only lost to one person.
Yeah, and that guy was the 205-pound champ and won.
Yeah.
And obviously one's not as good, but like we're talking about a dude who's huge. I believe they did go down and fight at middleweight as well, but it's the same guy,
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I think RDR is really, really good.
Who else did he fight in the UFC? Was this his third UFC fight?
He fought Holland.
He
fought
and then it was Mershart.
Oh, Mearshart.
Where he had
that might be it.
Yeah. I was slacking on the Holland fight. Now, what was the result of the Holland fight?
He dominated.
First round submission.
First round sub? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's 3-0 in the UFC, 3 finishes.
So the other thing, well, keep going on this, and I have one last point about Bo.
No, that's all.
Okay, well, the last point I really have about this fight in general is there's a theory that I've had for a long time. I mean, I'm like talking like 10 years. You can corroborate, is that the right word? Whatever. You can reinforce that this is something I've been saying for a long time, but I've had this theory that wrestlers have a really good chin and like have the ability to get hit in the head and like not be influenced by it that much, but getting hit in the body just like ruins them. And especially when like I compare that to like the sports that I come from, and it's pretty, I'll just say Muay Thai because I think they probably have the best ability to absorb body shots based on the rule set and like how much knees and stuff are going to the body, their clinch training, a lot of like the conditioning they do around that, whatever. But like I really think there's something to that wrestlers are susceptible to the body because wrestling training doesn't really like prepare you for that.
Right. And, that's interesting that you say that because, like, as you're saying that, I'm like, like I certainly fit that description. And I'm like, why is that? Like, you know what I mean? And, yeah, I'm just curious on why is it? And, like, my, like, off the cuff take is, like, the amount of head impact we deal with in wrestling, which I think is surprising to a lot of people, right?
So much. Just
before recording today, we were all talking like, old stories and stuff. And like, I didn't get hit very often in my fights. And we were saying like, I was like, yeah. And they're talking about like, so I've got like a little split open here and stuff. So kind of like talking about like head trauma impacts and stuff like that. And like all my hard head traumas have come from wrestling.
Yeah.
Not from fighting.
Yeah, and also think about wrestling like you use your face as a defense.
Yeah, your face is your primary tool to stop things.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? It's like, you're shooting. The first thing that I'm supposed to get in the way is my face.
Yeah, I remember seeing a picture of a bunch of wrestlers. I don't know if it was one team or like before or after NCAAs or whatever it was, or a season, but it was like a relatively short amount of time.
No, they took their pictures like Wednesday night before NCAA started on Thursday, and then Saturday night after NCAAs, and it's like they look like they went through like war.
Yeah, it's like regular looking kids, and then like faces just looking like catcher's mitts after like.
And this is a sport where striking to the head is not an objective or legal.
And think about like you're getting hit so much with that. You just like you build that tolerance. Not that you can like build your chin, but it's more of like a tolerance to like getting hit in the face and like being okay. But you never really get hit in the body like that.
Well, I think what you build too is you build like head positioning, right? To where like you're not as susceptible to getting hit like on things that are going to make the snap and rotation.
And your neck gets strong.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and strong. Yeah, very strong neck. So that's also helps prevent against snap and rotation.
And the other thing is they build a lot of confidence. One, through just like wrestling in general, and two, in like their ability to take damage because it's such an aggressive sport. Then you're slamming into dudes, and you're like, oh, like of course my body's built to like take impact. You know what I mean? But it's a very different thing taking knees to the body. And if you look at how Thai fighters train, they're getting hit in the body all the time, in their sparring, in their clinch especially. They're eating knees back and forth, and Thais do a lot of like they'll do like sit-ups with like people hitting them with like pads or medicine balls or whatever, and they're just used to eating those. Also, the way that Muay Thai, like specifically outside of just like striking in general, but Muay Thai as a sport is scored is kicks to the body and knees to the body are really, really high scoring. So they're dealing with that a lot, and they just build up that tolerance. So I think there is something to that theory, and I think we kind of saw a little bit of that, here. Now, I noticed that he was hurt way before the finish.
Oh, yeah, I did as well.
Okay, yeah.
I could see it. I could see.
I saw position, the face.
I saw some like telltale signs.
Yeah,
like if you're in the know that you know. But yeah, but like like. A lot of like hate being thrown in the Bo's way, and I think like like it's like like fraud check or whatever. Like I don't think he is fraud checked. I think the aura that was riding behind him has been though.
Yes,
Yes. So,
but like him as a prospect, I think is still.
I think he's still a top prospect. I think there is something to be said with maybe exploring welterweight with that size.
I think that's a good idea. I think another thing that would be good for him is give the kid an undercard fight and like give him someone who will challenge him appropriately. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, like and I think just maybe like, do you think a little higher frequency?
I think that at first he should take like 6 months off, like like at least just to like really develop his striking in a more complete way, and then perhaps a higher frequency. And I think also not getting put into like a lot of fans are mad at him because of his placement at 300, and it's like that's not his fault, you know what I mean? And I think that would kind of get the fans behind him again. Not that that's his responsibility, but I think the UFC should do that, and I think the UFC should also again give him some guys who are maybe like decent defensive wrestlers who are going to force him to stand a little bit, but like not maybe insanely technical strikers. And maybe they're like really powerful, that's fine, but like, you know, give him some opportunity to progress. And for him personally, I do like worry about, because he trains, you know, in Happy Valley, and then he's down in Florida, and I wonder about that bouncing around, if he's maybe not getting as much like direct like training. But I would love to see, I don't know what the situation is.
I also don't know how often he's where.
Exactly. But like I would really love to see him with a super high level striking coach and like really just do like a lot of striking for like 6 months. You know? So that's what I'd like to see. In terms of who he fights, I don't really have anyone like good, because I don't really know people outside of the top like 10, 15, whatever. But at welterweight, you've got a handful of guys who fit.
I mean, there's such a list, like you could just rattle off like, you know, like, there's no shortage of guys that would fit his development while still being in the UFC.
100%. Now, real quick, last thing about this. What do you think should be next for De Ridder?
I think he should fight a top fighter.
Oh, dude, I agree. He's proved himself to like.
Max, can we get
legit.
rankings?
And the other thing is, you know, middleweight's in a weird spot right now where a lot of the guys who were making up the top 10 are on their way out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like
the Marvin Vittoris, the Jerry Cannoniers,
Izzy.
the Izzies. You know what I mean? Like, so we need some fresh guys here.
The rumor is that Kyle or whatever, the fighting nerd guy, he's fighting
Imavov.
Is that the rumor, Max?
I've heard Kyle say that. I've heard rumors about that, but then I also saw Imavov say that he was going to reject that if it was offered to him.
Oh,
so
okay.
I'm not really sure what they're doing.
I mean, dude, De Ridder and Strickland. Yeah.
Dude, I would love that. I thought that was a great call out.
Yeah, I think De Ridder is ready for like
any of these guys, to be honest.
Wait, was he 13 going into this fight?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, throw him all the way up there.
Yeah.
All the way up Strickland.
I agree.
Yeah, I think he fights Strickland, and then you know, then you figure out some stuff after there. That win might put him into a title fight, or he might have to fight like a Whitaker after that. But yeah, cool.
Love that. All right,
the main event. Right, we're ready for that.
I am.
Corey Sandhagen versus, how do you say it?
I think it's Davison Figueiredo.
Yeah, Davison Figueiredo, affectionately known as Figgy.
Yep.
What a performance by Corey Sandhagen. I am so pumped about him.
Yes. Dude, what a great fight.
I think if I look at the 135-pound top 10, and you're like, pick the champ, I think I'm picking Corey Sandhagen.
Oh,
like pick the champ, pick who you want to be the champ, right? Like it's like, okay, like who do you want to be the champion? It might be Corey.
And
right
dude,
now.
you know what's super sick is the fight that like a lot of us who are in the know have wanted to see for a long time, and he's obviously called for it a lot more recently. Is him against, oh my god, what's his name?
Sean,
yeah, Jesus,
O'Malley, Sugar.
And
the Sugar Show,
like that is now so much more likely. You know, if Sean beats Merab, that's, in my opinion, the biggest title fight you can make at this weight class. At this time,
the Umar and Sandhagen fight, that was close.
Yeah.
Max, do we agree?
That's the thing about Corey is he tends to look really good in his losses. You know. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just really impressed with him. Will, I know you have some things that you want to say about it.
Brother. All right. Let me just start with the stand-up because there's not too much to say there. But interesting, I used to kind of trash Sandhagen for being like what I would call a Gen 2 stance switcher. So like he's switching stances, but like he doesn't know exactly why he's doing it, or he like makes mistakes in how he does it. And a lot of that's been cleaned up. And we saw a lot of positional battles here with them both switching stances. And there were times where it looked like Sandhagen might be trying to force an open stance, and Figgy kept shutting that back off. Yeah. So that's interesting, and I'm curious what like their strategies were there. Both of them, very interestingly, had like the kind of what we have been talking about, like is like the fighting nerd style stance, really far back in the stance, a little bit wider, real vertical torso. Thought that was interesting. But the truly interesting things happened during the grappling exchanges. Let's start with the wrestling. Figgy's first takedown. Very aggressive, but I didn't think it was technically very good, and you seem to feel the same way.
Yeah, no, I didn't think it was technically very good either. So he was head outside single, okay? Like going like crackdown, or running the pipe, whatever your terminology you prefer to use is. And he was sliding down towards the knee. And this is something we spoke of in the Ian Gary Protez fight, right? Ian Gary also sliding down towards the knee, which allowed Protez to get his hips back and create that angle, which we call sitting the corner. Protez also would hook behind the hamstring there. In this instance, as Figgy was doing it, he took his inside leg and he like basically went like inside trip to the far leg, like a reaping trip. And it's just not like something that is like something you can count on. You know what I mean? Your knee is definitely at risk. If you're doing that, also like it's not very efficient. Like you're not going to land in a great spot as we saw. Also like, you know, like it's not going to work a lot, you know, that as well. So a lot of times if you do that, if you go to that inside trip, if you think about exactly where you are when you finish that takedown, you are like on top of somebody. Imagine you're on top of somebody in a guard and they arm drug you. You're in that position. Right. So like now it's like a scramble for them to get your back or for you to square them back up with them having a distinct advantage in that lead, like a lead in that position. So
yeah, that wasn't like super great.
It's just kind of like a panic, like, oh, let me get him down.
And he was like super aggressive with it. So like that's how he made it work. Now, another takedown that we saw in that fight was absolutely beautiful. Second round, Sandhagen blasted a double leg, one arm around the waist, one under the hamstring. And he timed it beautifully. He got super deep on it, shoulder to the hip, and he ran through it. I believe what you said when we were watching that back just before this was you're like, dude, that's like a perfect GSP takedown. Yeah,
it's exactly like what GSP was really known for. And recently there's been some instructionals released on that and the rationale behind it. You go your forehand instead of cutting to the knee, you're cutting across to the waist. It keeps you in tighter to the hips, especially for the way that we're shooting in with a more erect stance. And it prevents against, you know, a far side underhook and or going Kimura trap. The near side going elbow deep really traps your chest against the thigh, which makes it really difficult for the defensive partner to withdraw or engage their hip. So it really controls the hip, protects you from, you know, attempts at the guillotine, and it puts you in a great position to either lift or run like a crackdown type maneuver from there. And that's what we saw out of Sandhagen in this. But let's get down to
let's get down to it. So,
let's talk about leg locks and MMA.
Dude, all right. First thing I gotta say, you called this like years ago.
And like I don't want to make it seem like I think like I'm some genius or whatever. It just makes sense.
Yes.
Right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it just makes sense.
I think this is what you were getting at when we were talking about low-hanging fruit, but you and I have been having this conversation on and off for literally years, and you have always told me, you're like, I think, because there was a while where I was like, oh, like, leg locks are going to be the big thing, and then I was like, oh, no, leg locks actually are stupid, and they have no place in MMA. And you were like, that's not true. You were like, what you're going to see a lot of is people using those ashi positions in order to like sweep or improve their position, right?
Yeah.
Now, in the second round, we saw Sandhagen from, I think it was bottom, maybe it was butterfly guard, I forget what it was, but he works his way into some ashi position. I think it might have been.
I think he came through to. No, I might be mistaken, but I think he came through to like a traditional like outside ashi, and like started to bring it inside to reap, right, which turned Figgy away, and put Figgy's hands on the floor, and then he used that to come up.
Right,
he unwrapped the reaping leg to come up.
What was awesome about it is as he's going for that position, you see as soon as Figgy starts to turn, he completely lets go of the leg. He wasn't going for an attack at all.
Here goes my big thing. This was like my big like thing about like, I don't want to say leg locks. All right, I want to say leg entanglements. Okay. So when we're talking leg entanglements, we're talking like, you know, your ashigramis, your cross ashis, your outside ashis, your 50-50, which is the prevalent leg entanglement of this fight, you know, things like that. And a lot of people equate the leg entanglement with the leg lock because that is the likely submission to occur in those positions. What I want you to think about, take a second and think about the leg entanglement, think of it as like a guard, all right? Why is the leg entanglement so more risky? Like I don't get that. initially we thought it was more risky because we were seeing people get knocked out while doing it because they're going to attack the heel hook, right? Not doing a great job of it. Therefore, their hands are also occupied. It'd be no different than if you were in bottom guard and you just started reaching your hands out to something, right? If I'm in bottom guard and I reach both my hands like out to the side and my face is unprotected, right? And you're within a range to hit me in the face, well then, you know, it would have the same result. Now, my argument here is a lot of these leg entanglements keep your opponent's torso further away from you than of a lot of guards.
Right.
If we look at a closed guard, for example, your torso is right above my torso. That's why we see a lot of good ground and pound come from the closed guard. And where we see like ground and pound stifled from the closed guard is because the arms are doing nothing other than fighting the arms, right? They're not like occupying something else, leaving your arms, the attacker, the top player's arms free. So we usually, like, we do see some really good violent ground and pound from there, but we also see some good defense against the ground and pound from there. A lot of us are very, very familiar with a half guard. What is a half guard? Dude, it's a leg entanglement.
Yeah.
It's a way that our legs are intertwined with each other. You know what I mean? So it's not really that much different between like a half guard and like a false reap, right? My legs are in a position, like if you think about a half guard, if I throw a knee shield in, my legs can push you away. They can create separation between our upper bodies. And what's attached to your upper body? Well, your arms, right? And that's what you're going to hit me with when we're on the ground. Okay? So same things could be done in like different leg lock positions, leg entanglements, right? If you think about like your standard ankle lock, like your day one, like white belt style ankle lock, it comes from, you know, your traditional ashi, right? So you've got one leg inside, one leg outside. You're probably stepping on the hip with the outside leg. You probably got your knee nice and tight against the thigh, so you have a good bite, and you're attacking the ankle lock. What else can you do from there really easy? Come up. You can come right up to your knee, and now you're on a top position. So my contention was what we are going to see is people start to understand these leg entanglements better and use them as guards because it allows you to create more space. And what does more space give you as the bottom player? An opportunity to change the position or just simply get up. Think about escaping like a poor position. Think about escaping mount, right?
Right.
If I were to ask Max, I want you in on this because so Max is, you know, you guys know he's an amateur MMA fighter, right? And he trains jiu-jitsu quite frequently, and he's getting a lot better at it. Max, we're in an open mat, or you're in a, let's say you're even in like a tournament, right? And you're in bottom mount. What is the first escape you're thinking?
Create frames, get to a hip,
Yep.
push the knee down.
Yep. Create frames, right? So he's creating some separation between the hips, right? He's getting to a hip. That means he's turning to his side with the intention of using a maneuver that we call the elbow escape, correct? And if you successfully complete this, what position are you in?
Bottom half.
Bottom half guard. Still on bottom, certainly an improvement upon position. All right. Max, you are familiar with the term kipping, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so actually, one of our Sage did this in his match this weekend.
Sage has done this to me.
Okay, perfect. All right. So kipping, you place the hands on the hips, right? You bring the knees into the back of the butt, right? And you start to like kip, right, yourself up until the knees can clear through the hip line, and therefore you're put into an ashi. Right? Now, the difference between a half guard and an ashi in this scenario is a half guard, you have to take many more movements to then get up to your feet or to the top. Whereas in ashi, you are now one movement away from being up to your feet or up to the top. So I would say that in this instance, you know, maybe half guard's a little like of a safer route, but a longer route.
Right.
Whereas ashi may be a little bit riskier route, but a faster route to where you're likely looking to go. We can use that same scenario when escaping the back. If someone had Max in back control and we were looking for him to escape, where does your successful escape leave using our standard jiu-jitsu? I'm on your back. You're getting your back to the mat. You're scraping my chest off of your back. Yeah. Where do you end up when it's all said and done?
We're going to end up in a half guard.
Yep. You're going to end up bottom half guard, right? And that's successful. That means you stopped me from gaining my mount off of your escape. What if I told you you could end up in an ashi there, right? A position in which you would be ankle locking, okay? You don't have to ankle lock. If you're worried I can reach you and I can hammer fist you, put your arms in front of your face.
Yep.
Reach out and block me, just like what would you be doing with your arms in a half guard? Do the same things, right? but your legs are now entangled in a way to where you can put me down on my hip and then come up to your knee, right? That's going to be great.
I think another really cool point, like with what you're saying here, is if you're in bottom half, which a lot of people I think would kind of say is a better position in MMA than like a bottom like Ashi position or whatever, you have significantly more dangerous submission threats from Ashi than you do from bottom half. Like what submissions do we see in MMA from bottom half? Like I guess the occasional maybe Kimura, maybe
like Kimura, then throw it to Choi, but even then, you're
like how many of those get finished? You know what I mean? Like I can't think of a single finish from bottom half. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it,
the thing about like the Ashi from bottom is it allows you to off balance in more directions too. I can challenge your balance by bringing you over my head, making you use your hands on the mat, and if your hands are on the mat, guess what they're not doing? Hitting me.
Yep.
Right? I can push you backwards to your butt, both to. It doesn't matter which side of the Ashi I'm on. I could bring my knees to the right, which would put you down on that hip, or I can extend away, so I can kind of like, I have the opportunity to take you in 3 different directions. Whereas in a half guard, I really have the opportunity to either push you away or bring you in.
Right. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, and I think your prediction was correct. I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of this.
I think you're going to see it, and I think like Sandhagen, as we saw in this fight, he understand. Like there were so many times. If you guys watch this fight back, in round 1, I believe, Figgy attacked. Figgy started this all.
Oh yeah,
Figgy attacked Corey. I believe he just got to a traditional Ashi and then he started bringing it across with a reap, right? And Corey was complete hammer fist. So this is the exact example people want to use on why you can't go for leg entanglements, because of what Corey was doing in the first round, the Figgy, right? Just hammer fisting. And we were both like, dude, what's he doing with his arms? Like, use your arms here. Maybe use the legs a little better here as well. But Corey's understanding of what was happening in that position and clearing the knee line allowed him to stand over him confidently.
Yes.
There was another time in which Corey stood up over him and was in like imagine Figgy's like on a supine butterfly. That means his back is on the mat, but he has butterfly hooks in. And Corey stood up over him and started ground and pounding there, right? Now, standing up over somebody in MMA, the fear is up kick. Well, if I'm standing up over you in a butterfly guard, you can't up kick me, all right? So now the fear is you kicking me over and entering into the leg entanglements, which then ideally you would use to get to the top in MMA and probably not spend too much time on the lower extremity tack there. But he had no fear of that because he felt, he was like, oh, I'm a different level than you in this area.
Yeah.
And then we saw it play out, and he played it out just the same way that, like, he used it against TJ, was understanding the 50-50 position and who can come up and who can't, and which direction your knee needs to be in for you to come up safely, right? The most horrific injury we had in our gym was this injury. It was a 50-50, 2 guys in a 50-50, both trying to come up to the top, and a misunderstanding on the limitations of one's knee, and it caused ACL, MCL, PCL tear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just like really impressive. And I think another thing that you and I were talking about, we just watched this right before this, is Sandhagen was so confident that there was a while where he was hitting Figgy. He was like a little bit like forward, kind of how you'd imagine someone would want to defend, leg lock, and, getting those strikes off. And then he kind of went back a little bit, and there was like a couple seconds there where nothing was really happening, and Figgy's like kind of going for the leg, but not really. And I was like, dude, why isn't Sandhagen pulling his leg out? And you were like, dude, he's just comfortable here. He knows he's safe for the time being. And I was like, if I personally was in that position, I'd be freaking out.
Well, let me tell you why. Something that I didn't say while we were watching it. Not only is he comfortable there, it's an advantage position for him here. So here is one of the negatives to the leg entanglements: unentangling yourself. Untangling yourself, right?
Yep.
So through and like, here goes the thing, like the first thing we need to do is we need to clear up the immediate initial thought that the leg entanglement is by the bottom person or for the bottom person, right? The leg entanglement is an entanglement upon our legs.
Yeah.
Right? I can do it from the top.
Yeah.
While staying up, In fact, the beginning sequence to the finish here, they were in 50-50. Corey was standing up, and Figgy's the inside heel hook that Max was working on today at practice from 50-50. Corey did that from standing on his feet. Imagine you were there, you and Lucas, and you stood up, and that foot's on the hip, the one that you're attacking heel hook, from the feet, and he threw it, right? And then they fell down when he threw it, and they rolled through, and then he sat up, and then there was the snap, crackle, pop, which blew the knee out, and then the hammer fists came therefore after. But the same thing, right? Like if you like our legs are entangled. It's not that you have entangled just my leg. Our legs are entangled. Therefore, you are also attached to me. You know, when we see this upper body, this will make a lot of people understand. We saw this with Rose Namajunas and Jessica Andrade.
Dude.
The Kimura.
Yes.
Right? Rose had the Kimura on her. An arm entanglement. Right? But it wasn't just her. And then what? Andrade lifted her. She couldn't untangle the arms. And there was a consequence to it. Same thing that you'll see with this is like you'll entangle the leg, you can't unentangle the leg like as quickly. Those are some of the benefits, like the pros and cons. There's pros and cons.
You have to understand.
There goes a benefit of half guard, right? We're not as deeply entangled. Yeah.
It's something. Okay, this reminds me of a couple things. So one is something that a quote from Chael Sonnen. He was like, "Okay, if I'm in on a single leg, does that mean you have my leg, or does that mean that one of my legs has both your arms?"
Oh my god,
you know
that's
what I mean?
Brilliant.
Like, it's the same thing, and in some ways, again, there's like advantages to having someone in on a single. Another thing, just kind of going back a couple of topics that you're kind of connecting it to, is. And I was just thinking about like a casual fan who maybe, even someone who's not a casual fan, but they just don't understand leg locks in the way that someone like you who knows sport jiu-jitsu and is at a very high level like gets. And even I probably don't get it at like a level that, I mean, obviously not your level, but like at a level to truly understand it, is you separating the idea of leg entanglements and leg locks, right? So let's say that you don't really know what we're talking about right now. Leg entanglements are the equivalent of like being on someone's back, right? It's the position. Whereas the leg lock is the equivalent of like a rear naked choke, right? Yeah. Now, obviously, if you're on someone's back, the most prevalent thing you're going to see is a rear naked choke. So I could see why someone would be like, oh, he's on the back, rear naked choke, that's what you got to look out for. It's like, yeah, but also arm bars and, you know, pounding him out from that position, whatever. Same thing with a leg entanglement. It's like, yeah, obviously you got to look out for the heel hook, to a degree straight ankle locks, maybe a toe hold, whatever, but knee bar. But mostly we're talking about the position there. Yeah. And I think that was a really important distinction you made that like hopefully will shed a little bit of light on this. So, dude, I thought this was really impressive. I'm really fired up that we've seen some leg locks in the ways that we've seen them in the past couple of weeks because, you know, it was up until this point a little bit more black and white. You have people like Paul Harris or like Gary Tonin where it's like, oh, this dude's so much better and he's just ripping off people's knees. And then you have the people who aren't as skilled and they're just like getting knocked out in that position. So it's kind of like, oh, it's like, it's just you hit that level of, you know, proficiency in jiu-jitsu. Now you can use them or you haven't and you just suck, right?
Yep.
And now we're starting to see like, oh no, there's layers to it and how are we using it and why and in what positions. And we saw Figgy force those positions and Sandhagen force those positions. And we saw Sandhagen inverting and like just so much interesting stuff going on there. I'm excited to see how this plays out over the next, you know, couple years. Yep. So I got one more thing about this fight, I believe, or about the leg locks, I guess, before we kind of talk like what's next for them. So when we watched this back, I was like, wait, don't turn it off yet. Don't turn it off.
Oh, yeah.
Bisping comes up to interview him, and I'm not like trashing Bisping here for saying the wrong thing. Obviously, you know, you just got to go up and like say what you say. And he's been, you know, talking for hours at that point. But he goes up to Sandhagen and he was like, yeah, you know, it's unfortunate that happened to Figgy, you know, blah, 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 or however he said it, like an accidental thing or something along those lines. And Sandhagen's like, it's a shame that happened to him, whatever.
Shame it ended that way.
Right, yeah. And Sandhagen's just like, no, it's not a shame. Like, I made that happen. He doesn't understand 50-50 the way I do. I made that happen just like I did to TJ. I was like, dude, that is spot on.
Yeah,
like
100%.
That's so incredible.
100%. It was an intentional movement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that made that happen.
It's no different than an arm bar.
And you know, one of the things that like really reinforces, right? Yeah, that reinforces how much Sandhagen knew what he was doing. If you watch it back, he gets that position. You can tell he heard the knee get hurt. He throws some hammer fists. They're not that violent, and the second that the ref steps in, he's done, and he's like, oh, sorry, bro, like to Figgy, and like stops immediately. Like that tells me that he wasn't like just going nuts and the ref jumped in. He's like, yeah. It means he knew what he'd done and he was just doing his job 100%. Until it got stopped. So I thought that was really cool that he like corrected Bisping in that moment, and like, you know, hopefully it's an educational moment to people who maybe don't understand those positions as much.
Yeah.
Should we talk about what's next for those two?
Yeah, so Figgy's got to be sidelined for like a year.
Yes, and he's older for, you know, this weight class already. So
I saw some people online saying that That could be a full derailment.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about what makes a bad loss. That's a bad loss. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, that takes him so much further from title contention, and he's hurt really bad, and it was very definitive. You know what I mean? Like, that was a bad loss right there.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's pull up those rankings, young Max.
So, okay, when we talk about Sandhagen, I think there's really one of two things that happens. Either one, he gets the winner of Merab and Sean, or two, he fights Jan for the title shot. Because I know we've been seeing them like kind of talk back and forth a little bit online. Now I know
I'm down with both.
I know that I wouldn't mind seeing both. I know that I think he said that he wants to wait for the title shot, and I would prefer to see him against Sean for a title. Like, that would, in my mind, be like the perfect way it plays out. But I wouldn't be mad about him and Jan.
Yeah.
Do you think there's anything else that makes sense there, or
I think that's it. It's those two things, and that's it.
I
Yeah, no, I
agree.
don't think anything else really makes tons of sense.
Yeah, that's
Pretty
easy.
clear cut. Max, do you have an opinion on that?
I've seen some people I thought was interesting. A couple people say that no matter what happens in June, just have Corey and Sean fight no matter what. Instead of him and Jan for a number one contender, just make the Sean and Corey fight now, and then winner of it. Well, if Corey wins that, then he's got a title shot.
Yeah.
I'm not
Like,
mad at
that's
that.
the matchup everyone wants to see. Obviously, I think him and Merab is interesting, but I think everyone and Merab is interesting.
So it's
until
like,
Merab
all right,
just-
so basically you've got Sandhagen and Jan waiting for the result of the title fight. The result of the title fight comes through. Sandhagen fights O'Malley no matter what, and Jan fights Merab no matter what.
yeah, something like that.
I don't hate that, actually.
So now you're in there. If you're Sandhagen, you're rooting for Sean to win the title.
Yeah.
And if you're Jan, you're rooting for Merab to win the
Yeah.
title. Yeah.
And if they gave Sandhagen the shot, I wouldn't be mad either. I was talking to Lucas about this the other day, and I was like, well, Jan's on a 2-fight winning streak, and I would like to see that a little bit more than, Sandhagen. He's 1-1, and he was like, yeah, but, Sandhagen did look better against Figgy.
Mm-hmm.
He was able to dominate and then finish him, which even though Jan beat him, he couldn't do.
Yeah.
And, Jan's already fought Merab and Sean, so Corey's a fresh matchup for both those guys. I get it. I like that. I think that'd be a fun fight for a title.
It's interesting when we look at these rankings, because just a few years ago, it was like, 135, it's just stacked with killers. And I'm not saying it's not stacked with killers, but like
it's really narrowed itself down
Yes.
to a top 5 right now.
Yes, it's not as like interchangeable. Like, I feel like a couple years ago, it was like anyone in the top 10 could fight for a title, and it's all interesting fights. And now I'm looking at it and I'm like, dude,
I think there's a definitive line between Corey Sandhagen and Figueiredo now.
I think
anybody
4 and under.
Yeah, so like you've got 5 guys. You've got Merab, Sean, Jan, Umar, and Corey.
Yep,
Those 5 are the only 5 on that list I could see being champion.
I agree.
Hold on a second. Is Marcus McGee fighting Jan?
I don't believe so. I didn't see that anywhere.
I heard a rumor.
Where?
I believe Joe Riggs, who coaches at the MMA lab where Marcus McGee is, in a conversation said Marcus McGee is fighting Peter Yan.
Interesting.
And I believe it got picked up hot mic on a podcast.
Oh, interesting.
This is like something like doom scrolling through Instagram
Yeah.
that I saw.
Dude, we're so like bombarded with information. I don't expect anything that we like roughly remember.
Also, I wonder if some stuff like that, like, could you imagine, like, could somebody do that on purpose to try to,
yes, just to keep hype going.
Yeah, just to keep hype going. And then also, do you think, like, the UFC would ever be like, never mind, because people found out?
No.
Okay.
Because think about it, why do they keep certain fights under wraps? It's so that they can release that information on a timeline that makes sense for them, right? So it's like, hey, we have this big fight coming up. We don't want to announce the next big fight because we want people to be hyped up for this one. So they're just trying to wait. It's like, if that gets out, you know what I mean? Like, who cares? It's like, oh, okay, we'll still announce it when we announce it, but whatever, people know.
Right, cool.
And also, I'd be willing to bet that like the hype that is gained from people thinking like, oh, I have inside information, or I heard it on this pod or whatever, is probably even better. So like, I don't think
you're
the UFC
right.
actually cares.
Max, you got like a little like hacker look to you. Did you find
Yeah,
something?
he is. He looks like a hacker in the 90s movie. Ta-ta-ta-ta.
Yeah, I mean, I got Joe Riggs.
Disposed, active.
No, I got Joe Riggs saying it on a podcast.
Oh, did I say something that happened?
Nailed it.
What if I made that up and it ended up being true anyhow?
That'd be
No, I didn't
incredible.
make that up. All right,
I mean, I'm interested because they are going back to Abu Dhabi in late July, and it's just a fight night. It's not a pay-per-view. It's just a fight night.
Okay.
They're gonna want someone from that, and usually they like to put Jan in Abu Dhabi. He sells for them, so I mean, Jan main eventing that wouldn't be terrible against McGee. Though that would be his second time just randomly fighting someone like 10 spots below him in the rankings.
Like run it. You know what I mean? If they're like, and then Sandhagen has the clear title thingy. All right, so let's move on. Is that it for UFC Iowa for us?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I don't really care about the other. Not that I don't care about the other fights.
No.
But
I mean, I'm good on it.
Yeah.
I was just making sure that you guys were done before we move on.
All done.
So should we move on to Fight to Win, Pittsburgh?
I think we should.
All right, Max, did you get a chance to link?
Yeah, I'm gonna pull up the results right now, but I'm just letting you know some of them I know are wrong. So
really?
You should, when you're reading through them, just make they have McKenzie losing by RNC. Which,
yeah.
I know that didn't happen. But yeah, I'm gonna pull these up and just fact check anything that is wrong.
All right, got it. I mean, I'll remember our matches, but I just wanted it to not forget. Okay, so give me all the way at the bottom. All right, so we had a Fight to Win coming to Pittsburgh. One thing about Fight to Win is they put on a terrific show, but I wish they gave us more time, right? They tell you they're coming 8 days before the event, and then it's just a scramble through, which amazingly, I mean, how many there was 38 matches, still. So I guess it works, but it'd be cool to have a little bit more time. So I'm gonna mainly focus on our athletes and our friends. So starting off the night, making another viral clip, this time without any dance moves involved. Kyle O'Hare came out, hit a nice slide by, jumped the back, rear naked choke. The match was roughly 15 seconds. So I was walking in, and he's they're about to say go, and he looks at me, and he nods, and he points to the corner, right? And I'm oh, I scurry around, I get in the corner, and basically, so what I do with Kyle, either A, has such a huge crowd he can't hear me, or B, I'll just tell him what to do after he did it. Yeah. So then I look sick, right? He hits a slide by, and I'm do the slide by. He jumps on the back. I'm take the back, right? He throws a rear naked choke on. I'm all right, squeeze, right?
I was about to say, it didn't seem like you had much to tell him in this one. It was what,
no,
20
but
seconds?
I told him everything he did.
Yeah.
I just told him right after he did it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know what I mean? I think we can play with the audio on that and make it seem like I said it right before.
Speed it up a second.
Yeah. Slide it over a little bit. But yeah, great performance. We were expecting, Max are called emotes. Yeah. Andy was recording him, and I was make sure you keep that on him because he's going to do something. And then he turned and faced Flo's camera, and I was he's going to do it to that camera, right? And then he didn't, and then he turned back, and Andy had the camera down because I was he's going to do it to that camera, and I guess he was going to do it back to our camera. So a little bit of a miscommunication there. Kyle will do better next time.
Yeah, dude, he's got to get it. You know what I learned about?
What?
Clip farming, which I kind of had an idea what
I
that
learned
meant.
about the word farming in general. There's
Hey, what do you
aura
mean?
farming, clip farming, right? Who was
Max,
it?
you're supposed to keep us in the loop with all this young people slang.
You recorded a clip talking about clip farming the other day. I figured.
Yeah, because I just found out what that
I
meant.
figured you
I
were
kind of
updated
knew.
on
No, I kind of knew
the
just
I mean, I
like
didn't just
context.
find out in between the last two podcasts, but I found out within the month.
I found out on Saturday. So
okay.
I knew that clip farming was a term, and I was I assume that means you're you're going through your stuff and finding the stuff that's real interesting and popping it out. I didn't realize it was you intentionally doing things
for
said clip.
Yeah.
So I was oh, okay, that makes sense. Kyle had to tell me what that
Right,
meant.
yeah.
I've never felt more old in my life.
Oh, well, there you go. Okay. Our next athlete was Elijah. He really strong, tough competitor. He had kind of a down performance. I spoke with him afterwards, and I think it's going to help a lot. Mm-hmm. But I could see him knowing what to. I could see him just not being inside himself. He was just making the wrong moves the entire time. I'm
Right.
bro, he's diving in the triangles, and it's I was bro, you looked like a fly going to the blue light. And he was yeah, man. He's I don't know, I just overwhelmed or whatever. And I'm great news. I've been there.
Yep.
Even better news. I have some ideas on how to get out of there.
Uh-huh.
Right? So I gave him, some brief ideas on what to work on, some mental exercises, a book. Oh, I recommended The Confident Mind right here. Boom, right there. Bang. In which there's some exercises in there that I think that any athlete could definitely grab onto and take advantage of. And one of the biggest things to take away is that it's rented and not owned. I remember I used some exercise in this book, and I had one of the best performances of my life, and I was like, got it.
Yeah.
And then I quit doing them, and I competed a month later, and I was like, oh no,
It didn't work.
I'm back. Yeah. All right. All right. Next. Oh, Devin Heinel. Okay, so Devin Heinel, absolute dog in this match. So I train with Devin a lot. He's a smaller guy. I like training with him because it's real fun. He's scrappy. His brothers are super good wrestlers. Devin is not. No, he's good enough. But actually, Devin came out, took a nice head inside single, quick head wheel finish, get to the top position, took the back. Now, from the back, this is where I know Devin is good. He's good on the back. We spent 2 months focused on top turtle and back control, which share a lot of the same attributes. And in those months, I trained with Devin a lot in those months. And I don't want it to seem like I was like training him.
Right.
We were training together.
Right.
And so I've experienced Devin's progress in those areas. And let me tell you, it is legit. And he was digging good for those. Did not quite get it. Just a few adjustments need to be made to get the rear naked choke there. But got into some other situations, showed a really good guard. I'm actually like blanking on how he entered, but he entered into the legs, went backside 50, and then inside heel hook, belly down inside heel hook for the win. So he was, I bet you Corey Sandhagen was watching Devin's match and was like, oh, I should do that stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Because there was actually a time in the Sandhagen-Figgy match where Figgy stood up while Sandhagen was in the 50-50, and Sandhagen went inside underneath towards the backside. So great match by Devin. It's one of those times where you can really be proud, like, that you showed, like, he showed wrestling, he showed guard passing, he showed top control, he showed back control, he showed guard play, and he showed leg locks all in one match.
So sick.
Getting the sub win. Our next athlete was Erica Amoroso, Big E. So she won her match by decision, came out, didn't start off too hot. She took a shot and just kind of stopped on her shot, was put in a guillotine. The guillotine looked a little bit more threatening than it was. She was in it for like quite some time, just like in a position like where it wasn't going to be finished. Right. But she wasn't progressing, and she definitely had opportunities to use the attack of that guillotine to improve her position. After like seriously like what felt like forever, but was probably like just like a minute or so, she finally did get to a crossbody position, use that to clear her head, and then she's on top. She takes the mount, and this is where she rocks. She gets to a gift wrap, takes the back, spends a long time on the back, digging for the strangle, nearly getting it, even goes muffler over the mouth and stuff. Her opponent ends up escaping that. She follows it straight to the mount, goes head and arm triangle, and then the time ran out, so she won the decision there. The guillotine attempt, which was from Erica in a guard, so not as threatening of an attack, versus Erica having mount twice, taking the back, having serious rear naked choke attempts, and a half serious, about the same as the guillotine was the head and arm triangle. Head and arm triangle wasn't really that threatening, but still, a really, really good performance, especially on we'll call it the last 75% of that match. A lot to take away for Erica there, though.
Right on.
Up next, we had Isaiah Schaefer. He took on Taylor Cahill. Now, Isaiah Schaefer
Nothing.
Isaiah Schaefer has a terrific butterfly guard, and it showed in this match. It was definitely giving Taylor some problems and some hesitations, and Isaiah did achieve one sweep, and then got a little bit, I think, like, oh my god, here's my opportunity, like trying to chase the back, and kind of rushed it. With that being said, Taylor hit 3 really nice guard passes over Isaiah's butterfly guard, which I struggle with Isaiah's butterfly guard so much. Like, Isaiah will dude, he has great success with his butterfly guard against me, which is why I love rolling with him. And when I roll with him, I rarely do loose passing because I want to play his butterfly guard.
Right.
I want to play against it because it's really good. But Yeah. Taylor hit 3 pretty nice passes. One quick stand up, like loose, like kind of like a dance pass, like knee pop pass. He had one where he just brought his hips up over the butterfly straight to the mount, and that earned him the decision victory there. Ooh, Jeremiah Butler comes through from time to time. He's a 10th Planet Mousery guy. He won by triangle choke, put his opponent out, and like I missed it because it was so quick. It was like 10-15 second match. Yeah, good for him. Cody Gamble, one of our Matt Factory brothers there. He won by Kimura, and it was very like clean technically, and showcased a lot of power. Who do we got up next? I don't want to miss any. Lucas Jones. All right.
Hey.
Right. Did I pass? Okay, there she is. All right, Lucas Jones. So everybody hears about Lucas Jones on this podcast. He gets brought up just about every week. Right now, I'm happy to report to you guys he is up 18.64 units for a total of 38.64 units. Definitely in a strong command of first place. But let's talk more about his fight to win match. He ended up defeating Tanner Cahill by buggy choke. He threw up his first ever flying triangle in this match, and he really stayed on the attack. I actually spoke with, I believe, the Cahill's father after the match, and he was talking to him. He was like, wow, that kid looked really good. And we were just talking. I was like, yeah, dude, like that kid loves jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? And we were saying like, oh, it's really, it's great. But like Lucas just continuing to improve. I get to train with Lucas like, I'd probably get like, I don't know, like an average of like 4 to 6 rounds with him a week. And he's also one of my most favorite people to roll with. Like if we ever like had a reason to have him on, which the reason would be he has to do something really, really, really cool. But then we could talk about how we get in positions together that like I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
Like we can't get back here. Have no idea how we got here. Like no.
There's no name for it.
Yeah, there's no name for it. It's just like a mashup of like limbs like threaded through. Someone's hanging upside down, and it's just like, how did we get here? Like I don't know, but like yeah, it's just like we're both very willing to be creative when rolling with each other. So that's really fun. Roman Flannery, really solid match. Winner by choke. I didn't see like too much of the details to it, but like just solid win. So shout out to Roman. And then in the youth match, we had our very own Mackenzie Vaughn took on girl Danica. And the story behind this was they competed against each other at ADCC Chicago, right? So this tells me that this is a top level youth match. I believe both these girls are 13-ish years old. And man, they came out to scrap. They both looked really good, but Mackenzie, just like on fire, came out, took the back rather quickly, and ended up winning by rear naked choke. Looked really great. Super excited moment. She came out after, and she had like a check for like 200 change, right? And she was like, I got paid, right? Yeah, and I was like, yeah, dude, that's sick. She sold like 2 tables worth of seats, like Matt's side. So it was a great experience for her. And after she won, her coach, Alex Hudick, through her, I believe it's yellow black belt, was her next promotion.
Sick.
So she got promoted as well. She should be pumped. She's going down to Atlanta to do ADCC Atlanta this weekend. Alex, her coach, will be competing in that as well. Justin Pippins, J Pip. I didn't see his match. I think I was in the back, like either talking about Mackenzie's match or something like that. But I did see a clip of a big old slam on there, and he ended up winning that match by choke. So
sick. Good
stuff there. Up next, Evan Furlong, shout out. That's a React athlete. He won his match by decision. That's awesome. He's stud. Bobby Murda. He was vicious with his just like good wrestling. He took the back and like just applied the strangle, like immediately looked like very like like he was like ready for that
Violent
match.
with it.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what happens when you get strikers who transition.
Yeah, for sure. All right, then we had Alexander Krasuski. We're gonna say we just call him Polish Alex in the hood. He was at practice this morning. He won his match against Drew Shields. Drew Shields was a friend of mine from back in the day. We used to train with each other back in like 2008. but Alex took that one by decision using a really active guard. And now we got our man Sage. So our man Sage, actually 2 matches in the night. So I went out with Sage after the matches. I was with Sage and Andy, and we're, having a couple drinks, getting some wings, bullshitting, and then they were both like, now you have to talk nice about us on the podcast this week. And I was like, you know what? I sure do. So Sage had a black belt gi match against Andrew Party of Party Jiu-Jitsu. And Sage just looked absolutely incredible. Really controlled a dominant decision victory in that match. Chase Boyd and Matt Schaefer. So this is like a match like I don't even like want to talk about because they are the homies, both of them. And they're both so good. Like I talk about all the time. Like Chase, we did a whole breakdown on his last the route to the finish of his last amateur fight. He looked really good here. Had a good double leg, some good front head attacks, and ended up winning by choke. But Matt Schaefer, absolutely no joke. Matt Schaefer was also the main event of the first ever Stout Fights. Okay, and I've trained with Matt, like whenever we can for years now. And I have not won a round against him yet, right? I've been close so many times, and he'll always do some shit like right at the end, right? You know what I mean?
I think I rolled with him one time, and there was a while where I was hitting low singles on everyone.
Yeah.
And I shot a low single, and he just looked at me like I was stupid and just pulled his leg back.
Like Anderson Silva, Forrest Griffin.
Yeah, dude. I was like, oh.
Yeah, so shout out to Matt. That's my man right there. We then had Rocky Long. He took on Marcus Crawford. Rocky ended up losing by decision in this match, but I gotta say I'm impressed because do you remember Marcus? He would come down with Devontae whenever me and Devontae would train.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So Marcus is super good. Mm-hmm. Last time I rolled with Marcus, he submitted me. You know what I mean?
Isn't he big too?
No. He's probably walking like 160, 65.
Is he tall? Is he tall?
Tall.
Okay.
Tall.
Okay. Yeah.
Tall. Yeah, he's tall. But yeah, Marcus is super good. I'm pretty sure he's got to be like 6 or 7-0 against Stout. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like really good. But Rocky, hard fought decision there. So congrats to Rocky. Oh, Jake Lowry, bro. Jake Lowry. Listen, Jake Lowry. He is so close to being one of the best in the world, dude.
Yeah.
He is like just like nipping at it.
Good stand up too.
Yeah. I mean, he can fight his ass off as well. But like his jiu-jitsu, dude, like his wrestling's so good. He's got incredible slide bys. He had a really nice ankle pick in this. He's got a really good blast double for when he needs it. Uses his length well. He can do some really good outside passing, controlling positions, things of that nature. Some good like head and arm chokes and stuff. And he is in big time matches all the time. And he is just about to break through. You know what I mean? He lost this match by knee bar match against a very, very good competitor, someone who I'm very aware of. But Jake was like winning the match, but he just needs to work on closing it out. Just in those waning moments at the end, but he can literally be one of the best in the world. So then we had Sage came back up for a second match of the night. This was a black belt no-gi match against Paul Reyes of Armazzini Jiu-Jitsu. So Sage and Paul train together fairly frequently. Paul is pretty much a regular at our Monday morning practices. So this was a match that we've seen in the room, and it looked exactly like we see in the room. Sage had some good leg attacks early on, some very threatening inside heel hooks from the 50-50 position. After that was done, Paul ended up taking the back, held Sage in the back for a decent amount of time. Sage then escaped it to the mount and then went kip escape back into a leg entanglement in which actually the kip escape, as he went to the kip escape, Paul ended up going to half guard, which put Sage in his octopus half guard, in which he then stepped over and started to take the back. He didn't fully get it, but he did get his chest to the back, and I believe that's what won the match. Because up until that point,
it's
pretty close. Like Sage had some good heel hook attacks. Paul was on the back. I think Sage's heel hooks were probably a little bit more threatening than Paul's rear naked choke, but the back is the back. You know what I mean? And stuff like that. So I think that's what tipped it. That's one of those matches. It was just razor close. So Pablo Eduardo, so he's a new mat factory guy up from Brazil. People have been seeing him a lot on the local scenes, hitting flying arm bars left and right. He hit an arm bar on Dustin Lucas. This one, he was more like, kind of like, think about like spiderweb position, like crossbody, like Dustin's laying on his back and he's sitting up, like looking to untie the arms, and he goes like Americana lock on the far arm. So like the defensive arm. Okay. Imagine like, we're in spiderweb and I'm going to armbar you, right? You're like, oh, you're going to armbar my right arm. Yeah. Well, imagine if I reached across your body and Americana'd your left arm.
That's crazy.
While you were trying to defend with your right arm. Yeah, it was really crazy. It was good. And then we had our very own Andy Anderson. He won by outside heel hook versus very game Cody Hummel. Andy was ready to rock, dude. So, little behind the scenes info on this. Number one, he won by outside heel hook. There's a still photo of him doing this like thumb towards the back technique that Warren has been teaching in advanced class for the past 3 weeks to a month, right? So Andy just completely like did that perfectly, which like just goes to show that he's in classes like learning, getting reps on that, and it just got put into where he was able to apply it in competition. Immediately had some good leg movements in that as well. But in preparation for for this match, so we go to the back and like I'm gonna warm Andy up, right? So I start like like I take like my watch off, whatever, empty my pockets. I start moving around with Andy, and he does not feel well. I touch him, like I tie him up, and he's like dude, like the most tense, like so tense that he's like trembling almost, like right. I'm like, bro,
you can just feel when someone's off.
Oh my god, he was just like his body was like shaking, like not shaking of fear, like shaking of like, right? And I'm like, dude, that's not good, right? So I'm like, screw it, I'm gonna put it on him. So I just start like beating down on him. Right, I'm clubbing him, pulling him, pushing him, popping him, pop, 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 pop. Right, so like I don't know what came through me, but it popped in my head. I was like, "Yo, he needs a match right now. Yeah, he needs to get this crazy nervous energy out of him." Right, so we just start ripping, going boom, 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 and then I let him start getting his stuff off, and I'm making him like work, go. Yeah. He's going right, and so like he like gets a good blow out of the lungs. He gets to feel like sometimes you just need to feel like your body has been like hit. Yeah.
You're in the middle of practice, not the beginning of it.
I was like grabbing his face and like rubbing like my hand like really rough on his nose and just like rough, like how you like would play with a dog. I was like and stuff, and like dude, I felt he needed it. Yeah. I felt he needed it, and then share a little bit of words. He goes out there. Got to be the best I've ever seen Andy compete. Got to be. I mean, and Andy's no stranger to competing well, though. Andy, his ADCC Dallas was like money and stuff like that. But this was definitely a really great performance for Andy. I'm super proud and happy for him. And then the main event, we had Isaac Reilly. He had a decision win against a very game Joshua Cummings. Isaac just, the pressure on, loose outside passing, snaps, everything like that. Really challenging Joshua Cummings' guard.
And also, was at practice at noon up in Zealy the same day?
No, the next day.
Oh, that was Friday.
That was Friday. They did Friday.
Either way, next day he's up there helping to teach the next generation.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Isaac's the man on so many levels.
Yeah, dude. So yeah, Isaac's the man. So that was Fight to Win Pittsburgh. Congratulations to everybody who competed. Made it a great event. Keeping jiu-jitsu in Pittsburgh, going strong.
Right on. Should we discuss UFC 315 a little bit?
Let's discuss 315.
We've got a limited amount of time.
What time is it?
3:39.
Okay.
Should we just give like a couple quick picks?
Yeah, let's give a couple quick picks and let's get to our do you have our picks from last week? Okay, let's do it.
All right, let's bang through these real quick then. Man, my brain says Bilal, but my heart says JDM. I don't know which way to go with it. I'm going to say Bilal. No, I'm going with my heart. JDM. Taking Madalena.
I'm going to go Bilal.
Smart pick.
I want Bilal to win because I believe that if Bilal wins, Sean Brady fights him, and I believe that if JDM wins,
then Islam
comes up.
Yeah. No,
so like in my little world on my predictions, a Bilal win means a Brady title shot, and it means an Islam versus Topuria fight.
Ooh, okay. I don't hate that. I
Where
also
a
think
JDM
Bilal's-
win means a Topuria versus Oliveira fight and Islam versus JDM.
Yeah.
So it's like which two fights, like
You
the
know
combination of two, would you rather see?
Dude, I'm so split on that because I want Brady to get the title shot, but I also think I'd prefer Topuria Oliveira over Topuria Islam.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then, but it's the combination of it, though.
Right. But also to add on the third leg, I also kind of want to see, and I'm not
Right.
a ball hater.
I might prefer Topuria Oliveira, but it doesn't
Supersede
But the Topuria Islam fight is still as good to where it doesn't supersede me wanting to see
Brady shot.
Bilal.
Now, but also partially because he's a boxing style striker, and partially because I kind of want to just see the mix up of it, and I like his style a little better than Bilal's. I want to see Della Maddalena win.
You know what? I want to see.
But I also like Bilal.
do want to see Islam Topuria. I do want to see that fight. So
Thug life. Yeah. I do think you're probably right, but I'm still going to go with Maddalena.
Yeah. All right, dude. So Shevchenko is a dog in this fight. She's the underdog. What are your thoughts?
I'm probably going to be dropping a unit on her.
Yeah, I'm going Shevchenko.
Yeah, I believe in Shevchenko.
I believe. And
it'd
she's
be-
only 2 years older.
I was going to say, it'd be one
It's not like
thing
a crazy age.
if Manon was like, 25 and just a killer and knocking everyone out, then I'd be like, I don't know. But she's
right.
also 35. So, yeah, I'm going Shevchenko.
Okay, Max, give us your picks for those two fights.
I think JDM and Fioro, actually.
Okay, cool.
I like Fioro. I think that's I'm surprised Shevchenko's the underdog there, I got to be honest. But I do think Fioro's got a good style to deal with her, and she's not super old, but Shevchenko is just kind of like battle worn at this point. You got to remember she's also got all those Thai fights and kickboxing fights in her past
sure.
too. I'm just counting on that kind of catching up a little bit. But if Fioro doesn't do it, I don't know.
Now, does Manon have a bunch of Savat fights?
Now, let's keep moving. Who cares?
Keep it moving. That's a French style of kickboxing.
Yeah. And plus, we're either going to be done right now.
Yeah.
Oh, Jose Aldo.
Why would they do this? I think Zahabi's going to win.
Yeah, I don't think so. I'm going to go Jose Aldo.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I'm taking Aldo.
I'll be rooting for Aldo, but
All right, next. Women's flyweight. Who we got? Oh, I'm going Grasso.
I'm also going to take Grasso.
She's the dog?
Oh, interesting.
Dude, okay, I need to get on DraftKings right now. Listen, I am not doing well.
We're not going to discuss
I only
it
have
this week,
5.5 units left.
but none of us are doing well.
I know Lucas has 38.64 and Danny has 30.75. So they are winning. All right, go down.
That
Michael
fight got
Malott
canceled.
versus Joel Alvarez is not happening.
No. The one above isn't happening.
Malott and Rodkey is happening. Alvarez and Benoit got canceled.
I'm taking Malott.
Yeah, same. All right.
I think that's enough picks for this.
Yes. Just scroll down the card just so I can see other fights on the card. Andrade. Oh, Jazz. Okay.
Yeah, there's some fun fights here. Oh, Navajo Sterling. He's the guy I was talking about from City Kickboxing. That's an interesting fight.
Okay. Down.
That's going to be like one round of chaos right there.
Yeah.
Lava and
Yeah.
Bukowskis.
All right. Oh, Brad Katona. Okay,
Fun
cool.
card. Very fun
All right.
card.
All right, go to our picks.
Give me 1 second. Let me pull that up.
How am I still winning? This is crazy.
Hold on. Where are we at? I can't see that far.
Mike, you're 33-26-1. Max is 33-26-1, and I am 34-27-1.
Scroll down, Max. Let's see those picks from.
Those are 28s, not 26s.
28s.
Oh,
28s.
well, there you go. I can't see that well either.
Okay. So I went 3-3. Everybody went 3-3.
Oh, you got D-Rod. That's interesting.
He did. I do remember
D-Rod
that.
ran through Ponzinibbio with one combo.
Wait a minute. How did we all get that fight wrong? The Smotherman today.
Oh.
Hang on. I'm pretty sure I still added it up correctly for you guys, didn't I?
No, because I was only one fight behind Will last week. So now I'm still one fight behind Will, but I should be one fight ahead of you.
Yeah, okay. All right, that was me trying to cheat.
We'll
there.
figure it out next week. We're not worried
Doesn't
about
really
it.
matter. All right.
All right.
We got one last thing that's going to take a minute.
Okay, secret question.
Secret
I see
question.
it on the board. All right.
Brother, this has been going around social media for a little while. Mike, what are your thoughts? 100 men or one gorilla?
100 men, easy. I honestly think it's more like 30 to 40.
I think it's less than that.
Could be
depending on
less
the
than
guys.
that. people think that like a gorilla is going to touch you and you're just going to evaporate. Like one of the things that I would ask is like, how long do you think it would take a gorilla to kill you?
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Do you think it would take more than, like, do you think it would take more than 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds? Like, I think it would take probably like, you know, many seconds to kill you.
Yes.
And there's 99 other dudes, right? I did see some report or some like, I don't exactly know the term. I don't want to call them like zoologists. I don't think that's right.
Animal experts.
Yeah, experts on gorillas weigh in saying that like around the 30 mark. They were like, yeah, I think like you guys are like overestimating. Like a gorilla is not going to like kill you with a slap.
Not only that, but gorillas also don't have great cardio, right? They're like fast twitch go.
Yeah.
And also, okay, they say 600-pound gorilla. Let's just say that it's like 200-pound dudes. Imagine a 60-pound person was on one arm, and then a 60-pound person was on the other arm, and then each leg, and then on your back and on your chest. You'd be fairly incapacitated. And let's say you shake all those dudes off, and then you start beating people up. You're exhausted from that, and then
you have to kill all of them too. Like
exactly.
the amount of time it would take. So for a gorilla to kill, like even if these guys are just trying to defend themselves and not fight back,
right?
Per person, let's say like 30 seconds per person.
That
right?
Sounds, okay, sure.
So you're talking it takes 50 minutes of this gorilla going full full rage to kill 100 people.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you know what I mean?
After half of that, it's completely exhausting.
Yeah, it just got absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, dude, it's definitely 100 men.
100%. Now, unless they're all 120-pound dudes who are scared, but
I'm under the impression we are like it's a them or me thing, so we are fighting for our lives here. So
precisely,
it's people trying. Also, the gorilla. If that's the case, we're going to say the guys are scared. Well, the gorilla,
dude,
by all accounts, would be timid
and scared as well.
Yeah. Well, like from what I'm hearing, they're not. Right. They are kind of like
they're
timid.
Not trying to fight. Yeah.
All right. Cool. All right. That's it for this week's episode of Listen to Your Coaches, and we'll catch you guys next time. Make sure to follow us on all our social medias. We've got Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. Check out our store. Buy some merch. This hat's pretty cool. Did you do that?
What?
With Max?
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Max got to get lunch now because we gave him some money. From the proceeds from what we've made from the store. And everybody who has bought merch from the store, thank you. We appreciate it so much, and we'll catch you next time.